Praise be to the King of the universe. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get started. What do you see in this picture?
Mountains.
Yeah, look at how far that you see this little car down here. You see this car? You see the little car on the road right here? Let me see. I was tripping when I made this in particular clip. What I was trying to do was trying to capture how vast and how great this mountain is, how big it is, in regards to its size compared to what would be all the way here on the ground right here, or a person. Look how large that is. Look how massive that is. Just imagine this, all this falling down on this. Just imagine, falling, a person from here falls down all the way down, because they do that sometimes when they're skiing. This is huge, okay? Which brings us to one of the words that I want to talk about. It's called gadol. Gadol. Okay. Gadol represents great, big, has an extended meaning of being independent, and as an adult. Okay. Often when this word is used, it's to describe the greatness of something, the massiveness of it. It's also applied to Yahweh's name a lot. And what we would say to him is like, your name is great. Okay. So we would say Gadol, right? It describes, and then his name is a Shem, which is his name, and then Ka, which is your name. So that's name. This is your name. So you would say Gadol Shemka. Okay. It's great when you're talking to him, when you pray to him, you can easily remember what we said. Hallelujah. Gadol. Tell him what's great about him. The great about him is his Shem Ka, which is Ka is you or your. Okay. Possess it. Okay. So hallelujah. Gadol Shemka Yahweh. They should put that in a prayer. If you want a prayer, by the way, as me and Kent was just discussing, you can tell me what you want in a prayer and we can write it out. And then you could say it to Yah. I can help you design your own special prayer because this has frequencies in it. If you want to say that, you could do that. Just, direct message me on Facebook or email me, one of the two. Okay. So that's Gadol. This idea of independence and adulthood goes to the idea of this first letter. The first letter is called a gimel. Does anyone remember what a gimel represents? It's an animal. What kind of animal? Animal is it? Huh?
Camel.
Is it a camel?
It's a camel. Yes. Okay. And a camel has to do with the idea of growth and development. Okay. And it also has to do with this this idea of weaning, to wean something off of the breast. When someone becomes gadol, that means they're no longer katan. That means they're developed. Okay, so weaning, development, they're ready to move on. They become independent. Your child is not independent until they become an adult where they can be weaned and take care of themselves. Okay, so this is what this letter represents. It also represents this idea of walking, because if you look at the way that the letter's designed, looks like these right here are two legs. So you can remember that. It means to travel. Okay. Let's get some on it for the agricultural meaning. It says Elohim made two. How you say it?
Gadol.
Gadol. Gadol what? How you say light?
Is that or?
Yes, it is. How do you say the?
Ha.
Good. Large is, of course, Gadol. Light is or. This is two or el. It could be either it could be an aleph and a lamed, okay, or just a lamed by itself. To rule, how do you say day?
Yom.
Yom ha. I'm so I said put ha. Yom, and how you say and?
Wa.
Wa. The.
Ha.
So you hear this ha, wa, ya, you see what I'm saying? And then here is smaller, but of course is a Hebrew word for it, and another or, and it could be el or la, the lamed to mean two or four. To rule, the ha. I say night. What's the name of our friend?
Lila.
Her name is Lila. Yeah. Lila's night. Darkness is Koshek. Okay. Ha. Okay. Or excuse me. Why do I keep saying ha? You guys got me on it. Who did that? Jared did that. Jared did that to me. Why? Ha. And it's going to tell us what this ha is. This the right here represents the hey. And tell me, why does the hey represent the? What's the letter hey mean?
Man with hands raised.
And the man is doing something with his hands raised. What is he doing?
Behold.
He's looking.
He's beholding. He's looking. Yes. And also, too, I love what someone just said, praising. Yeah, because they look up at the stars. Remember last week we learned that when the person is trying to find his way by looking at the stars. That's how the shepherds were able to travel. That's how they got around. They didn't have a GPS. I think it was one of my classes. I don't think it was the Hebrew class. Good job. Here's a good one for someone. How do you say made? What? Asa. Asa. Okay. That's how you say it. To make or to do is Elohim made. He did something. To the two, the Shana, Godol, Ma'or, Ha, Godol, or the La, and then a Radef, the Ha Yom, and the Ha Katon, the order to, I think of Malrad, or the Ha Lila, and the Wa Ha Kovim. Once you learn your letters and your words, your vocabulary, it'll make you understand it better. So what does it mean to be Gadol? Where does it come from? Well, Gadol action is to magnify. Just like that mountain that we saw, how big it is, how magnificent it is. But the agricultural term comes from a rope. Okay, so usually a cord was made by twisting fibers together. The larger and more numerous the fibers, the stronger the cord would be. Okay, it's like a braid, taking some materials, either some skins or some tendons or something from a cattle, and then turn around and making a rope out of it, or taking some fibers from a plant, okay, to make a basket or to make a rope. Anything that is large and great in size or stature would be considered Gadol, is to magnify. That's why when we say to Yahweh, we say Gadol Shemka. We're saying we magnify your name. Not only we praise it, we make it great, Oh, isn't she precious? Our next word is called Who wants to take a jab at this?
It's like pois.
Qua what?
Quata.
Yes, qua ton. Quatan. Okay. I know I don't have that W in there to make it quatan. Okay. A quatan means small, child, and little. Okay. That's why I have this little precious little baby right here, because it represents a child. You're going to hear this all through the Torah. When Yah talks about taking the children, the katan, okay, the quatan, and to bring them to him, he's asking us to take them and to teach them. Okay, the little ones. Remember, he says, those who are going to worship me, both great Gadol and Quatan, will all know me from the least into the greatest. That's who he's talking about. He's talking about the smallest, from a child all the way up to an elder. They're going to know who he is. Okay. Elohim made the two great lights. Somebody tell me what day you think this is on. Just take a guess.
Day 2.
First day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day. Well, you know the seventh is out of the question because he doesn't do any work on the Shabbat, on the Shiva'i.
Is it Yom Shalishi?
Close.
Oh,
This is going to be Yom Ravi'i. Okay. Okay. Yom Ravi'i. So this is going to be the fourth day. Okay. We'll get to it. But here, what I'm trying to bring out is Elohim made two, Shana, Gadol, Or. Okay. And the Ha, Gadol, the Or, the greater light, to rule the day. So the greater, the Gadol Or, rules the day, which we know the day is the sun, and the sun is the greatest light. And the Quatan rules the night and the stars. You see, so which we know what's the lesser or the smaller, the Quatan. What light is that? What's the Quatan? Huh?
Moon and the stars.
Yes, so it's the moon and the stars because they're the lesser of the light. Okay. So where does it come from? It means small, someone or something that is small in size, importance, age, or significant. So it's just the opposite of Gadol. Gadol is something that is mature, older, and significant and to magnify. Small means small in size of importance and or significance, meaning it's insignificant. Okay. Less significance. Question. What letter is this right here?
That's the pit.
This letter right here.
a cough.
That's a cough. I want you to put your hand over your mouth and cough. Okay. Just to remember it. The cough I just did is C-O-U-G-H, but the cough right here is Hebrew and it means the palm of the hand. So I just coughed in the palm of my hand. That's how you can remember this letter because it is your hand. You can cough in it. You're coughing in the palm of your hand. Okay. So that's what that letter is. That letter up there is representative by a cough. In Hebrew, it kind of looks like this. The palm of a hand. Okay. All right. This one here is the same letter. But what's the difference between this one and this one? What's the difference?
The vowel points.
Yes, this vowel point is inside this one, and the other one doesn't have it. So they're the same letter, but they have two different sounds. This first sound right here is going to be a hard K sound. Okay, as in kite. Okay. What's wrong with my writing? Kite. Okay. This one right here is going to give you a C sound, as in cool, cool. It's not kite. It's not that. It's so the cool and that cough sound that's coming off of my lips is where my lips are protruded out, like I'm saying cool. So lips are extended. Kite is coming from the back of my tongue at the roof of the back of your mouth. Okay. So that's what those vowel points do, is they show you when you should say a hard sound versus a soft sound. So this one wouldn't be kokovim. It'd be ko, ko, coke, 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 coca, coca, coca. And this is a bet right here without any, my internet would stop going in. No dot in it. So it is a bet, but it has no dot in it. So I'm going to make a V sound. So coca, v, 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 v. Ko, ka, v, im. Ko, ka, v, vim. Kokovim. Okay, that's how you say stars. Ko, ka, vim. Kokovim. The plurality that you know is stars. What makes it this S sound right here? What two letters up here makes that S sound?
Yod and Mem.
Good, because that's plurality. Just off the top, would you say this is masculine or feminine?
Masculine?
This masculine, and you can always remember that by the letter mem, and you can always remember that. 99% of the time of a noun that's ending in this is masculine. Okay, so there's some nouns that are masculine and some that are feminine. Okay, if it was feminine, then it would be ko, ka, voth. You would have a wa and a tav at the end of it to let you know that's feminine. Okay, so the structure of words and family of letters always has the masculine and the feminine. Okay, so you're right, this is masculine. What do you know about the stars? What does y'all say about the stars?
There are many.
Huh?
There are many of them.
How can they be counted?
No.
No, they can never be counted. So Yah says the stars can never be counted. And he says, if anybody can ever figure out how many they are, then Israel will stop existing to me as a people. Yah considers, he told Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, all of them certain things about how many descendants they're going to have. Okay. And he also told us through the prophet Jeremiah in chapter number 33. I think I mentioned it today in class. The Yah says that the descendants of David alone and the descendants of the Leviim, the priests, the Kohanim, that are going to minister to him are going to be as numerous as the stars. Okay. Israel is directly connected to the stars. So this is kind of an inside clue about what Yah is talking about in terms of how long you and I are going to exist. Okay. Our family. Okay. Our family is going to exist as long as the stars exist. Our family is going to be in number as long as there's stars. There's the children and the sons and the descendants of Israel. Do you guys know that? What does that mean? Anybody?
As long as the stars are present, we will be.
Yes. As long as there's stars, you and I will always be Yah's people. I'm going to show it to you. I want to make a connection for you. It's found in Jeremiah. This is why it's very difficult. Oh, wow. What did I do? It's very difficult for people to say certain things to us now because we know the truth. Here's the truth. I think it's starting in 17. Okay, here you go. This is about our future. Okay. (14) says this. Here, the days are coming, says Yahweh, when I will fulfill this good promise which I proclaim for the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda. So it's about a good promise. When those days come, at that time I will cause to spring up for David a branch of righteousness. They got the name branch or the word branch in righteousness in capitals, which is incorrect. In the Hebrew, there are no capital letters. So they're trying to bring emphasis to this to make it, what they would say a personal pronoun, or, this is a title of a person. It's called a Zamak of Zadik. That means someone who's came out of his line, okay, who has righteousness in him. He's willing to do it. He will do what is just because that's who he is. He's going to do what is just and right in the land. When those days come, Yehuda will be saved. Okay, so when this in particular days come, Yehuda will be saved. That's why the Yeshua God doesn't work out, because he didn't do what was just and right in the land, and he did not rule. Okay, when it talks about this branch, it's an extension of David. Okay, when those days come, Yehuda will be saved. Yerushalayim will live in safety, and the name given to her will be Yahweh Zakenu. That will be the name of the land. When that so-called character of the New Testament came, Judah did not live in safety. They were never saved. Yerushalayim didn't live in safety. They were being ruled by the Romans. Okay. 17, for this is what Yahweh says, there will never be cut off from David, okay, a man to occupy the throne of the house of Israel. Okay. From the whole entire house, not just Yehuda, the whole entire house, nor will there ever be cut off from the Kohanim, who are Leviim, a man before me to offer burnt offerings. So that goes the idea of someone coming as a priest from the tribe of Judah, and there's no more offerings made. Okay. So burnt offerings, grain offerings, and offerings and other sacrifices every day. Sacrifices still in play. This word of Yahweh Kana Yarami Yahu, and it's what he said. Here's what Yahweh says: if you can break my covenant with the day. So Yah has a covenant with the day, and he says in my covenant with Lila. So I got a covenant with Yom, and I have a covenant with Lila, so that the daytime and the nighttime no longer come when they're supposed to. Then my covenant with my servant David can also be broken, so that he will not have a descendant to reign from his throne, or the Leviim who are Kohanim to minister to me. So if you can break those covenants that I have, you'll be able to break this, what I told David. Then he says this: to the degree that the armies of heaven are past counting. That means the stars, okay? Because they're part of the Zabaoth. They're part of what Yahweh has done. Yes, Renee.
Oh, Shabbat Shalom. I was gonna say, about the covenant.
I can't hear you, sweetie. I can't hear you.
With the covenant with David.
I think you have to do the chat box again.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Because I can't hear you. Put it in the chat box. So the covenant of David can be broken. He will not have a descendant to reign from his throne, or the Levim and the Kohanim to minister to me, to the degree that the armies, the Zavaoth, are past counting, and the sand by the sea past measuring. I will increase the descendants. So the connection is between the stars, the armies, the Zavaoth of the heavens, are past counting, and the sand by the sea, both in heaven and earth. I will increase the descendants, plural, of my servant David and the Lawim, okay, tribe of Levi, to ministering to me. Both of those in particular individuals are going to have that many descendants because they're connected to past counting. See? And then he asked a question. Well, here's Renee's question. Renee's question is, that is proof that they tried to force the breaking of David's covenant in the New Testament. Yes, absolutely 100% correct. They want to break this covenant with that Yah has made with David, and they want to put their God in that place. Oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? Forgot. 24. Haven't you noticed that these people are trying, or these people are saying, what do we know about the word these? Halal. That's where it comes from. Or ele. Ele comes from halal. Halal means to bring light and shine. Yah's putting light on these people, are saying that Yahweh has rejected these two families he chose. Have you noticed that the New Testament is saying that Yah rejected these two families? Yes. If that covenant is broken, then the earth as we know it would no longer exist. Absolutely correct. That's what he's saying. I couldn't have said it any, oh my goodness. I couldn't have said it any better, Condra. Listen, you guys, if Yah breaks the covenant with Israel, then the earth there's no reason to have the earth. There's no reason to have the sun. There's no reason to have the moon. There's no reason to have the Kokavim. There is no purpose. So what is he telling us? I've read it before in the book of Psalms, where what he does for Israel is included in on the things that he created. When he talks about the greatness of his power and how he's made the sun and the moon and the stars, then he talks about the sea and how he causes it not to roar when he tells it to be still, and how he says that they don't go past the sand of the sea, or they don't go past the shoreline because I commanded them that. And he talks about all these things that he did for Israel, about delivering us, about us being his people and he being our Elohim. He listed in a creative work. That's how important we are, is that we're connected to the stars. We're connected to the covenant of the sun and the moon. We're connected. But it's not just for David and Lawayim. If we continue to read, we're going to find it out. It's only two more verses. He says, hence, they despise my people. Who despises Yah's people? The people that want to get rid of the two families that Yahweh chose. Yahweh chose two families to do service to him. Everyone is trying to get rid of David's family, and they're trying to get rid of the Levim. Okay, so they despise my people, and they no longer look at them as a nation. Okay, that's the goal. But here's what Yahweh says. If I haven't established my covenant with the day and night, Lila and Yom and Lila, and fix my kokim, not my laws of don't eat this and don't eat that, my kokim. Okay, meaning you need to show up at this time. He's saying that the sun and the moon and the stars they have a job. They serve him. Okay. So he says, if they can break that, or if I haven't established my covenant with the sky and earth, then I will also, not the people, I will reject the descendants of Yaakov. Not just David. and Yaakov, and of my servant David. I'm going to reject the descendants of Yaakov, plural. I'm going to reject the descendants of David, plural. My servant David. David has many descendants. Not choosing from his descendants people to rule over the descendants, plurality of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. For I will cause their captives to come back, and I will show them compassion. That's what we would call compassion and mercy. And this is when Yah's living up to his name. Okay. So this is where you should go when they talk about the priesthood is over, when they talk about the offerings are over, when they talk about there's one guy who came and his name is, Yeshua, and he's this and this and that. No, you're connected. You're directly connected to the stars. There's no reason, as Chandra said, to even exist. Everything was made for Israel. So why is Yah telling us about when did he make the decree with the sun and the moon and the stars? He made that decree in Genesis chapter number 1, which you and I are studying as we are right now. Yeah. So that's why it's important. That's why, let's back up. Where did it go? All right, where is it at? That's something right there. Preview. I know I didn't lose that, did I? Okay, here you go. Woo! Pull that back up. Boom. There you go. All right, so that's why we're talking about the Kokhavim. This is Israel that you see out there. That's why it's a crime for anybody in Israel to count the children of Israel. Because if they count the children of Israel, it's like them counting the stars. That's why Yahweh told David never to count, and he did. He got in trouble for it. Israel is not allowed to count Israel because of they're connected to the stars. If you can number Israel, you can number the stars, and that's a crime. You would then say that Yahweh is lying. You understand? So that's why he says you can't count the stars. You can't count Israel. Elohim made two great lights, okay? And the larger light, it was to rule the day, and the smaller light is to rule the night and the stars, the Kokhavim. So now we got, two great lights, which is the Shemesh and the Yereach, which are the sun and the moon. And we also know that one is Gadol, very great and massive. It magnifies everything, which we know that the light during the day magnifies everything. You can see everything with the light. You can't see that nothing in the darkness except for it has a little bit of light, but everything is still black. When the sun, you can see the green of the trees, but at night, go out and tell me what color is the tree. And guess what you're going to find out? You can't see it. It's black. We got someone that says that the covenant with David with the day and the night in conjunction with Genesis of the fourth day. Yeah. Is David the fourth son of Israel? No, he's not. And were the great lights created on the fourth day? Yes, the great lights were created on the fourth day. But I got good news for you, Renee. You just tapped into something. What tribe does David come from?
Livium.
David comes from Yehuda. This was in our class today. David comes from Yahuda. What does Yahuda mean?
Judah.
Yes.
Praise.
Okay. Judah in English, praise. His mother said, I will praise Yahweh, right? Question for you. What son was he? Was he the first, second, third, or fourth?
Fourth.
Yehuda was the fourth born son. So there may be your connection, which is the fourth tribe. Lewiim is the third tribe. Okay. Yehuda is the fourth because he's the fourth born son. That's what David comes from. What does Lewiim mean? We know Yehuda's praise. Yehuda's praise.
Leviim, join.
Leviim, what does his name mean?
Join.
Join. So Yehuda is supposed to teach the people how to praise, and Leviim is supposed to join the people. To who? Yahweh. This is praise Yahweh. Yohewahe. That's what his mother named him after she had him. Her being hated literally. She thought, well, surely now I'll praise Yahweh because I got 4 sons. I'm beating my sister out on every front. Lewiim, he's joining. She said, perhaps now my husband will be joined to me because she was hated. Okay. Got some more questions up here I want to answer. Judah is the fourth born son. There might be some connection here. Any questions before we go on? Where does this come from? Kokavim. Where does it come from? It's a star. The letter Kaf represents the palm of the hand, as we talked about earlier, which is used for covering. Okay. It's used for a covering. Like you cover your mouth, you cover everything with your palm of your hand. Okay. The letter bet represents a tent. And you put those 2 letters together, the meaning of it means covering of the tent. The black goat hair was the fabric that was used for the roof of the tent, which allows some light to go through, right? Giving an appearance of stars overhead. So this is connected to the idea of them putting this goat hair over their tents. And what happened is at night, you could be able, when it's completely dark, there's little spaces in between those hairs. You would see these little beams of light, coming through the stars. You would see it look like stars. Okay. Giving the appearance of stars overhead. Well, it would allow some light, especially during the day. Forgive me. The light will come through those little hairs of the goat skin and the goat hair, and it would have little beams of light, and they would look like stars. Okay. But also when it rained, the hair of the fibers would swell and would, close off those holes. Because inside of their tent, they didn't have electricity. The only fire they ever knew was flames. But that's where they get it from. Okay. The next one is called Nathon. I don't know if any of you guys ever, maybe I shouldn't tell you this about myself. I'm not going to defile. Nathon means to give. And in English, you would call his name Nathan. Nathon. You can remember this, to give. When I used to shoot dice when I was a kid, and I'll be writing, I say, no, you're getting Nathan. I used to say that all the time, meaning you're not going to get nothing. You use slang. I would say Nathan means nothing. It's just the opposite in Hebrew. Nathon means to give. Right here in his hand, to give something. Okay. Nathon. Nathon. Okay. English, Nathan. Hebrew, Nathon. That's a friend. So what's your friend's name that likes to give stuff to you? What's his name?
Nathon.
His name is Nathon. Okay. Is Nathon, if Nathon was small, what would I call him?
Nathon.
Yeah, Nathon Quatan. Nathon Quatan. So to give little would be Nathon Quatan. Okay. If I was to say that he's a great giver, he magnifies, he's huge in giving, then what would I say about Nathon?
Gadol.
Yeah, he's Gadol Nathon. You see? So all these letters and words work together. And so it puts the picture together. Why is this used? Because this word is used hundreds of times. This is what you guys don't know. Is like with the words that I'm teaching, the vocabulary words that I'm teaching you, these are the words that you're going to use all through the Torah and the Tanakh and the writings. Okay. So we're not going to get all the words, but you're going to get a great majority. You're getting around 300 something words. So once you get them, you'll be like, oh, I know what that means. Oh, okay. When I read that, oh, I saw that. Okay. But then you got to get into when the letters are changed, you know. So for example, just kind of on a side note, not just trying to go too far. Whenever we do in the Hebrew, like for example, this is a 3-letter root. So question for you, is this a parent root or a child root?
Child.
Child root. Why is it a child root?
That's 3.
Thank you. That's as simple as it is. What's a parent root? How many letters?
2.
Yeah, because you only have 2 parents. Okay. All right. So Nathon is a child root. All right. So sometimes in the Hebrew language, if I wanted to say that he gave something, right, you would usually add a yod, meaning he. Okay. If I wanted to say we're going to give something, I would add a tav onto the front of it. Okay. If I was going to say we are going to give something, then I would add a noon, or excuse me, I would add another letter to the back of this. Okay. So they have some grammatical rules. What I'm saying is, what we do, you guys, is we take roots like this, and then we change them into other words. Like it wouldn't be Yanthan. We would get rid of this. It's a rule, and it would be Yitan. Or if I put a tav there, meaning you, it'd be Titan. Okay. But if I didn't know the root, when I saw that, I wouldn't recognize it. But if you know the roots of languages, you'll know what the rules are. So we'll get there. Point is, you can add letters to the front, you can add them to the back, and you can add them to the middle. Okay. And we'll get that when we get into our grammar. Okay. You got letters to the front, you can add them to the back, you know, all kind of stuff. But you're just getting the pieces to the puzzle. You're getting the main piece to the puzzle, which is the root. Elohim, they translated it to put. But Elohim, Nathon, them. He set them, he put them in the dome. What's the name of the dome? What's her name?
Rakuya.
That's Rakuya. And what's the name of the sky?
Shamayim.
Shamayim. Shah means what? You're right in your mouth.
Sharp teeth.
2 teeth. Yes, they're 2. So Shah means 2. What's Mayim mean?
Water.
Water. So the sky is really the 2 waters. Okay. That's how you can remember it. Okay. So there's one water and there's a second water. The first water is on the earth. The second one is in the sky. So just like there's waters around the earth, there's waters up a sky. That's why they'll give you the news report and say an atmospheric river's coming. You'd be like, what are you talking about, an atmospheric river? There's a river in the sky. So let me ask you a question. If Yah wanted to flood everybody out, could he?
Yes.
Yes, he can. That's how much power he has. Okay. And you know, he gave this, so Yah put, he Nathon, them, what? Who's them? These lights in the Rakia. Okay. So they are inside the dome, the Rakia of the Shamayim, to give light to the earth. Different concept. They would make us believe that the sun is outside. Outside in the universe where you and I don't have access to it. The sun and the stars and the moon are all inside of the dome. Okay, that's where they are. I know there's some arguments, you know, they got video coverage of people going to the moon and they're telling you that they traveled and they cut through the atmosphere and they went into another place. And now they're going to show you some videos of that. And then you and I believe it because we saw it on TV. The action is to give, and it's a gift. It's a gift. That's what you put your hand out for. Sometimes it's not about taking from people, but it's about giving. So remember Nathon, because he's the giver. Put something in. So Yah gave. He set them and he put them as a gift. Did he not say that he's given the stars? He told us not to worship him, and he told us not to bow down to him. He told us not to do anything like that, make any images of anything, because he says, I've given these lights to what? To the whole world as a light for them. I forgot exactly where it's at. Conjure, where is it at? I know you know where it's at.
What was it?
Remember, Yah says that don't bow down to the sun, the moon, and the stars, because I've given them as to be light to all the peoples, as an heritage to all the peoples on the face of the earth. It's part of their heritage. It's part of their inheritance. Forgot exactly where that's at. I don't know if it's in Deuteronomy. I'll find it one day.
Are you talking about when he said it in Deuteronomy, when he said that not to bow down to them, because we would basically worship anything?
Yeah, well, that too. But also too, he says, don't do that, because I gave them, the sun, the moon, and the stars, to all the peoples under heaven as an inheritance. I think that's in Deuteronomy 32, if I'm not mistaken. I don't got time right now to go to it, but I'll figure
I think
it
it's
out.
Deuteronomy 4:19.
Yes. Who said that? Is that you, T-Pam?
Pam, yes.
Yes, I think you're right. See, now you go make me pit stop. And I appreciate that, because that's what we're supposed to do. Let's go look it up, because that's the danger of saying something. You got to be able to back it up. You know, I only do this because I know a lot of people say things and then they don't back it up, and then we start believing everything everybody's talking about. He doesn't want us to operate like that. He wants us to say what it is. So we go to Deuteronomy 4, and here it is, because we want to honor his word. 4:19. You said that with confidence. Yes. Look what she said. Well, listen, let's just take it and say to 15. Therefore, watch out for yourself, since you do not see any shape of any kind on the day that Yahweh spoke to you in Korah from the fire. Do not become corrupt and make for yourselves a carved image having the shape of any figure, not a representation of a human being, male or female, or a representation of any animal on earth, representation of any bird that flies in the air, representation of anything that creeps along on the ground, a representation of any fish in the water below the shoreline. For the same reasons, do not look up at the sky, the Shamayim, at the sun, the moon, and the kokavim, and everything in the sky, the shamayim, and be drawn away to worship and serve them. Yahweh, your Elohim, has allotted these, ele, to all the peoples under the entire sky. No, you see? No, you, Yahweh, has taken and brought out of the smelting furnace out of Mitzrayim to be a people of inheritance for himself as you are today. Thank you, Akoti. I appreciate that. Beautiful, because that's the point. Yah has allotted that for all the people under this whole entire sky. But also, too, if you think about it, if we were to worship it, then we would say that Yahweh didn't make it. See, Yah's telling us don't worship anything that I've made. Anything, male, female, image, sky, sun, moon, stars, nothing. I don't care what it is. So why is it this in us that, or people that get this desire to look at something and worship it because of its benefits? Maybe because it's light, it's heat, it's big, it's gadol. You know, it's gadol. It's huge. And we're like, wow, look at that. Look at the magnitude of that. You see? So that's for the whole entire world. But for Israel, we don't supposed to do that. We don't supposed to give any worship to it. Some people say, well, then that means that we shouldn't have, why are you celebrating the new moon? We're not worshiping the moon. We're not worshiping the month. What we're worshiping is our creator. What he said is a kavim. It's a koch. It's a decree that Yah has given. It's a renewal, just like everything else he does. Okay. Last and final word right here is called ravi'i. 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 It's the fourth step, the fourth day, the fourth son, the fourth tribe, the fourth, okay? And fourth is an ordinal number. It's not a cardinal number. The cardinal number is Rabbah. That's 4. Okay. This is Ravi'i. Okay. Rabbi is different than Ravi'i, huh?
You can't see anything.
Oh, you can't. Oh, forgive me. Thank you for telling me that. Sitting here talking and ain't nothing on the screen except for me. Ravi'i. Can you guys see it now? I'm pretty sure you can. Ravi'i. Okay, so Shalishi, Ravi'i, Kamishi. Rishon and Shani, Shalishi, Ravi'i, Kamishi, Shishi, Shavi'i. And Shemona. Okay, or Shemini. So there was evening. How do you say evening?
Erev.
Arev. How do you say it existed?
Haya.
Go ahead, get it.
Haya.
Haya Arev. Okay. And the wa, and there was, somebody help me. And there was what?
Boquer.
Well, where what?
Reveille, Yom.
Yes. Voquer Ravi'i Yom. Yes. Perfect. I like it. Good. See? And where does it come from? It comes from the root word is Rabbah, which is a square, which is the 4 sides of a square, Rabbah. So when Yah talks about how he scattered Israel, he scattered them how many sides of the world or corners? 4. Yeah, Rabbah, 4 of them. How many horns were on the altar?
4.
Yes. Why do you think there's 4 horns? Because the horns are each one on the corner of the altar, aren't they not? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And so when Yah would make a sacrifice, which we're going to get into this weekend coming to our Torah portion, Yah would tell the priest to go ahead and anoint the four corners of the altar or the four horns, okay, and put their blood on there, okay. Representative, he's atoning for the four corners, okay, the four sides, okay, where Israel is, the four corners of the earth. That's connected to this altar. Okay. And I think that's going to be it for us today. I see a question. Yes, Kent.
Oh no, you already answered it. It was about the number 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, here you go. One last thing. Let me just show you guys something real quick. Genesis. All right. So far, we're on the 4th day. We've covered all this. You guys have got a basic thing about the Yahweh, and it was so. You know, we learned about how Yah has been calling out to the earth and the collection of waters, all this kind of stuff, right? Now we're on the 4th day. Okay. So Yah has made on this day that he made the sun, the moon, and the stars, okay, which our covenant is connected to on this in particular day. Now, can you kind of see why he wants us to remember Yom or Rosh Kodesh, and why he wants us to remember the certain times and periods and certain moedims? Because that's why he's given the sun and the moon and the stars. You know, we're already on verse number 16, but I wanted us to remember that he said, Wayomer Elohim, the Wahi, the Ma'oroth, the lights in the firmament, the Badraquia, the Hashamayim, to Lavadil Bain, to divide the day from the night. Okay, that's why they're there. He wanted those lights to be able to separate and make a division between those two time periods that existed prior to him making the sun and the moon and the stars. He's just using them as the signs to tell you when it's day, to tell you when it's night. Okay. Then he says, I didn't only make it for the la oath, which is signs. A sign is an oath. Okay. Not only made it for signs, but I also made it for seasons, which are the moedims. So when he talks about seasons, what he's talking about is the appointed times. And you can see that right here with this word ad, right here, meaning a witness, the time of moedim, the time of seasons, the time of you coming in and showing up to your appointment. Okay. So they're for signs, but they're also for moedims, functions. I don't want you to leave without knowing what the functions, why they're there. Okay. They function. First function is for the signs. The second function is for the moedims, the appointed time of the festivals. The third function, it tells us about the days. And last but least, the years. Okay. It's interesting that he doesn't mention for months, does he? It's interesting, huh? You can get the months out of your days. You can get your years out of your months. But he never mentions the months. He never said for Kodesh. Okay, not Kodesh. Just kind of something to think about. Something to just put a little feather in your cap and understand why they're here. They're directing the children of Israel. That's why he gave it to us. Then he says, not only are they going to be for that, but let them be for lights in the Shamayim, to shine, to light ear upon the Haaretz, and it was so. And Elohim made the two lights, a Gadol, Hagodolim, the two of them, two great ones. The light of the greater light, the Hagadol, to rule, and the dawn, the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the Kokavim, he made the stars. And he set or gave or put them in the firmament, in Barakuya. He put them in the dome of the Hashamayim. To what? The Laha'ir. I thought she said the ha right there is the. Well, we're going to get into our verb tenses and we'll find out why there's certain letter, that letter hey will be very prevalent in a lot of things. Okay. So we'll get to that later. Upon the earth. This is what he's done. That's the reason why. It tracks everything for us. It's like a big clock in the sky. So as long as there's the sun and the moon and the stars, then there's the children of Israel. Anyone have any questions before we close? I'm here for you.
I was just going to say that that provides another level of comfort for us. So every time I go outside and I see the sun or the moon, then I know that he hasn't forgot about us as a people.
Yes. Yes, he has not forgotten about his people. He has not. So when someone says that he's broken the covenant, that's just where he's going to judge these people, conjurers, because they're going around saying that he's rejected these two families. And that he's no longer interested in the priesthood. He's no longer interested in David's seed, unless it's JC, So that's huge. It should give us comfort. When you look outside and there's light, you should look at it from a different perspective. Now, you shouldn't be like, well, it's just a beautiful day. No, the light came when it's supposed to. That will let you know that I haven't broken my covenant. You see the stars tonight, it should let you know that Yah has not forgotten his covenant. And because Yah's whole purpose of David and Leviim is to rule the descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It's Yahweh's gift to them. David's family is supposed to be a gift to the children of Israel. The Leviim are a gift to the children of Israel because they do the service on their behalf. That's why they're in business. They're supposed to go on our behalf to Yahweh. And they're the foundation of the community, and they're the ones who have failed. If our leadership would have been stronger, then we wouldn't be here. The Leviim are judges. The Leviim are people, are the so-called physicians. They're supposed to come and inspect your house, inspect you, go through cleansing, teach you what's clean and unclean, common and uncommon. But our priesthood started getting drunk and having parties and dealing with, impurity. And so they failed. Our leadership, our kings have failed, and especially from Israel. Yehuda began it was not all bad kings in Yehuda, but a great majority of them were good. And then they would all fall to worshiping. They worshiped the moon and stars and the host of heaven. Everything that Yahweh said not to do. So that's why we're here. We're here because of that. And so it's time for us to make the decision. Am I going to be a contributor to the cause? Am I about Yah's business? Because guess what? Like, as I said before, just like he said, don't worship the sun, the moon, and the stars, but they've been allotted to all the peoples under the heaven. What Yah is really telling us is that since we're connected to the sun and moon and the stars, as Chandra said earlier, there would be no reason for us to exist. If there is no Israel, there is no world. That's what we don't know. That's how significant we are. That's how Godol we are. We're not insignificant. We're not Quatan. Right now we are, because we're not in rulership. The goal is to make us kings and to make us rulers over, and make us Elohim over all the earth, for Yah to be his rulers, to execute justice, and to be the template and the pattern and the design to show the world how they're going to live. So it starts with us and it ends with us, you see. So with that being said, that's why we got to make some adjustments. And not everybody's going to make the adjustment. Not everybody's interested in ruling. Okay. So thank you guys for coming to class today. I sure enjoyed it. I hope you were able to benefit from the teachings today. You know, I'm hoping you're able to kind of grasp some of the things that you're learning from the Hebrew language and the roots, and you just can continue to stay with it. You know, continue to stay with it. Continue to, you know, put forth some effort, because you're going to learn more and more. You're going to get closer and closer and closer to Yah's way of doing things. And then you won't be so, I would say, not that we're hesitant, but you'll be able to stand your ground a little bit better when you know the truth. You know, anyone coming telling you something that's not true, you go be like, no, that's not true. Someone died for my sins, that's not true. And ask them this question. Ask them, have they ever read the Torah without reading anything else but just the Torah, and understand it and read it in its original language? And 9 times out of 10 people, they're going to tell you no. And if they tell you no, and said, if you're going to be honest, tell me the truth. Have you ever read it in its original language? And they're going to say, no, I don't need to. It's translated. Okay, well, you believe in translation, you know, translational errors. They're going to make up all kinds of excuses, but no one's really read this. That's the problem. No one reads, no one studies. So I'm proud of each and every last one of you, because you're studying and you want to know. So hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise be to the Kadosh one from Israel.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
All right, you guys. Shalom. Lala
Shalom.
Tov.